Live. Yeah,
Wait,
I got
we
my
don't have
intro
no
tonight.
intro, nothing?
No, no, we're trying out the new.
Oh, I hate this
Don't make
place.
me start cussing again. We just got calmed down from
I
before we
hate
fly.
this place. It's so niggeried.
Oh my! Don't
Can't
say
take
that
him
when this end
nowhere.
up being a short on the channel.
Can't take him nowhere.
I
Here,
I want the place that had our music so I could get myself prepared. You just be like, boop. Okay, we live,
You ain't
y'all. We
see
not
you ain't see
wait.
the 3, 2, 1 countdown.
Yeah, I'm like, what is this place? Let's trade it in. I can't get with this.
don't say nothing. This when this end up being a short on the channel. That's all I'm saying. Don't even say nothing. And
Okay. Is
anywho,
this the same place we was at last week?
yes,
Hmm.
yes.
It's so ghetto.
Why does she
No,
want to do
I'm kidding. they don't have no countdown or nothing. Just whoop you in. What?
it? Okay,
She
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 clearly was not paying attention, Sean.
yeah
Like,
she playing, but she not.
okay, like just
I
tell us you
think
weren't paying
Like,
attention.
like really, when you said you ready, I was expecting our little music to come on, our little, the little blue blue ads and stuff. And like you was like, okay, y'all, we live. I'm like, wait, what?
I think she pregame too much.
It sounds like it.
Hmm.
I
What you
did not
sipping on,
pregame
Tipsy?
enough.
What are you
Huh?
sipping on tonight? Hmm,
I'm sipping on sweet red. So let me tell you about sweet red. I discovered
hmm,
this sweet red because Monte had some in the refrigerator and he
hmm.
wasn't drinking it. But yesterday I had made this beef stew, right? And I had put it in the crock pot and it required some red wine, which I did not have. So I opened his and I put it in there, right? But so then I
Mm.
had to run out to the store and replace it. So I replaced it with a 4 pack, of the same sweet red. And so anyway, no, I ain't gonna show no name, but the same sweet red is a small
I
bottle,
think
right?
I think we all know that bottle.
But it was a 4 pack, right? And and so I decided I was gonna try it out without the beef stew. And so yeah, it's pretty good.
And you chasing it
It
with Rolling
actually
Rock.
it actually yeah. But it actually the sweet red actually tastes really, really good inside the stew. I did not have any red cooking wine. I usually keep red cooking wine, white cooking wine, and stuff in there, but all I had was red wine vinegar, and I did not want to use that in my soup. And so I used just a regular red wine. And so, that's one of the little tricks, cooking trick. You can use what you have if you have a red or a white in there that you prefer. You can use that instead of a cooking wine, and it usually will come out pretty good. Usually, a Merlot works a lot better when you're cooking.
I mean, if I don't have no cooking wine, then I'm probably gonna go with a Shiraz myself.
Really? You wouldn't put a Merlot in there, a bold one, especially if you're doing a beef. Like I was making
No,
a beef stew, so I would
no.
probably think I would want something strong, like a Merlot with a
A
a
Shiraz is
nice
strong.
dry taste. Yeah.
A Shiraz is stronger than a Merlot.
Yeah, but I was surprised that a sweet red had a really good flavor in the gravy.
No, I feel you. I definitely wouldn't have went sweet myself because it just depends on what I'm doing. Like now, if it was more
Yes.
of a steak, then I probably would go with a sweeter profile. But if I'm doing like a roast, because I did do a roast myself yesterday.
Did
Um,
you?
yeah,
Okay.
so it was quite
We're
delicious.
I don't care. I don't care what y'all say, but listen, let me tell you, when people are single, people think that we eat out all the time. No, we cook. And the
Hmm.
reason it's easier for us to cook when we're single is no, a lot of people think that people that are single don't really cook. They really do. They have that misconception that we order out a lot. And that's a misconception. And the thing is that it's easier to cook when you're single because you ain't got to worry about nobody taste buds but your own.
It's not a misconception. A lot of people don't know how to cook.
Well, yeah, that's true too.
I mean, yes, you cook, you know, 'cause you know how to cook. I cook 'cause I know how to cook. I enjoy cooking. You know,
Right.
sometimes I cook too much and have to give shit away. Like, yo, come get some of this. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause,
Well, you
you
know,
know, I
I
just
had some apples getting ready to go bad last week, some Granny Smith. And so I took them and I rolled them up in croissants. I cut them, I peeled them, sliced them, rolled them up in croissants. And then I made my homemade streusel with, the instant oatmeal. I took it and mixed it with some butter and some flour and stuff, and that I sprinkled it on the top and a little bit of brown sugar and sprinkled it on top, made my homemade streusel. And it just so happened that it was a blueberry flavored oatmeal. Like, this was one of those days where I was just being lazy. I didn't want to go to the store. I didn't want to go get nothing that wasn't in here, but I needed to get rid of some stuff out of the refrigerator. Yeah. So it came out pretty good. And that hint of blueberry in that instant oatmeal actually was really, really good. Once it baked on top with the streusel, it actually, exploded and all that other stuff that dehydrated fruit does. So it was actually pretty good. I was like, oh, I might have to do that again.
you said it
So I
exploded or it
Well,
rehydrated.
it actually rehydrated itself. That's why I
Okay.
say when I mean it exploded. But the thing is that it really didn't rehydrate because I didn't add water. I added butter and then I baked it, and so it actually did just explode. Really.
mm, so I had sweet potato cornbread yesterday. I did not cook. I do not cook a lot. I can cook very well. I just don't want to cook. So
So you made some
Well, you
sweet
know,
potato cornbread. Oh
if
shoot!
we
I
if
did
if
not.
I
we
tell.
What
if
you
we
say,
all had
Sean?
it like if we all had it like you, of course we had somebody else in there cooking for us.
You know what? I, don't come for me today. See, I was over here minding my business while you two
Ooh,
luscious
what was that
was over there talking about
shade?
the alcohol. Don't come for me today.
I'm
That
just
was
saying.
shade.
I was in shots being fired already, and I was over here minding my little business. But no, I did not cook it. But one of my friends cooked dinner. She cooked the Sunday dinner, and so I went over there and ate with them, and brought a plate back for my friend. And it was really good. I've seen it, and I kept saying I was gonna make it, and I just haven't. So when she was like, she was making it, I said, "So what?" So I do this a lot, y'all. This is a trick. I mean, it's really not a trick because they know I'm coming anyway. But this is a trick. When I want something and somebody's talking to me about something I want, I rephrase it. And I'm like, so what I heard was, so when she was telling me what she was cooking, I was like, so what I heard was, Jazz, you should come to Sunday dinner. And she was like, oh.
I mean, that's when it comes to Sunday dinner though, all is welcome.
You know what I feel like?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So
But
I did go, it was really good. I would recommend it. I actually told one of my clients this morning, because we're always talking about different recipes here and there. And so I told her, like, hey, next time you feel like getting jiggy in the kitchen, give it I mean, it was very, very tasty. She actually made it with
Mhm.
some oxtails and some other things.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and it was really tasty, had just enough sweetness to it without being overwhelming. And still had that cornbread texture because I love me some bread and some cornbread. It's like we go together real bad, okay? And so I was nicely surprised. So I would add it to my list of things to cook because, like I said, I can cook very well. I grew up around my grandmother and my aunts and them cooking in the kitchen, and so I can cook pretty much just about anything. But I
Mm.
don't be wanting to cook, so I don't. And I don't personally think it has to do with being single. I think it's like Sean said, a lot of people just don't know how to cook. Whether you married, in a relationship, single or not, doesn't matter. Like some people just don't know how to cook. For some people, it's time and convenience. They don't want to cook. For some people, it could be health issues or
Some people
whatever's
is
going on.
portion size.
Portion
Because
size, like
think
Sean
about
said,
it,
he
because
might cook too much.
a lot of things they know how to cook, but they can
Mhm.
only make it in large quantities. Now my niece Jazz, she can cook. She cooks her butt off. But you know what? Let me tell you what she does. She meal preps.
Yeah.
So when she cooks, she splits it up for her lunch during the week.
Hmm.
And it actually works out well for her. but she can cook. I'm
And
like,
see,
oh, okay.
I love that. Like I now when I do cook, I'm like Sean, I cook a lot. Now I'm typically
Mhm.
gonna cook 2 or 3 things at a time. I prefer to take one day and I just knock out 2 or 3 meals. So I might do like now that it's
Okay.
getting warm, because we were talking about the weather before we went live. So now that it's getting warm, I will
Well,
cook like
cold.
say I'm sorry, cold, y'all. It's been a long day. Now that it's getting cold, I might cook a chili. I might cook a soup, maybe a
Mhm.
casserole or some rice or potatoes with a meat and veggies, but like 3 different things because I'm that person. If I like it, I may want to eat it, a few times, but I don't want to eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a whole week.
That part.
So I'm gonna make different things so that I can alternate, just like I would if I was going out getting something, different to eat for a meal here and there. Um, and the other thing is when y'all were talking about the wine, so that's the funny thing I will say. I don't recall that I've ever actually cooked with alcohol. I think
Really?
I've never done it. Not that I'm opposed to it. I mean, I'm not opposed to it at all. I just never have. I don't know that I've ever just been like, I'm gonna go buy this so I can do this one recipe. If I have it, great. If I have, but if I don't have it, I'm like, we're gonna find something to
Ye-
substitute. Because I'm like you, I'm not
Well,
going to the store for that one thing.
well, there's a couple of staples that you need in your cabinet if you're going to be like a real a cook that has like wine type dishes. A sherry, a Chardonnay, like a
Mhm.
Chardonnay, a sherry, and for me, a Chambord if I'm going to cook like desserts and stuff. Like I use
Yeah.
Chambord a lot.
Me personally, I would
Yeah.
go more with a cognac for desserts because cognac is a sweet
Really?
lick. It's a sweet liquor. People don't realize it
Yeah.
is. It's
I'm,
sweet.
I'm like
It has
you,
a
just like
lot of
really.
sugar in it.
I did have a bread pudding made with cognac before. That was the bomb. And I do not like bread pudding, but I really loved that bread pudding. And you
I
know
can see
what?
that.
I have not been able to find it again. They used to,
Really.
Sean, do you remember down on the Gulf Coast when they had that Isla Capri? It was a casino in Biloxi, but it was called Isla Capri. It got ruined during Katrina. Well, they served a lot of calypso type stuff and um, a lot of the Creole type foods. And that's where I had that cognac infused bread pudding. Never been
Cool.
able to find it again. I've looked for it. When I went to New Orleans, I looked for it because it is Creole inspired. Cannot find it anywhere. That was the
Have
best
you tried
bread
to make
pudding
it
that I've
yourself?
ever had. And I can't find a recipe. Don't You're right.
Oh,
I cannot find a recipe for it,
that's
but it
interesting.
was so good.
So here's where I
Oh
love
yeah,
AI. Cause
cognac
see,
and
I'll be in my chat with AI and I'll be like, I need a recipe for this. Give me a recipe. And I think you could use that to make your own recipe at this point. Like if you can describe the
Mm,
flavors of it and the cognac, if
mhm,
you remember the name of it or the brand or the whatever,
mhm.
I think you could get AI to help you create the recipe for yourself and make it. And when I say I've never cooked with alcohol, I just never have because I keep
Right.
alcohol in the house, but I'm not a big drinker. So I don't
Mhm.
even think about it when it's time to cook. I'm just like, I'll grab something else. But I have had different foods
I'm
prepared with
sure.
alcohol, at different locations. Um, Sean, I see the pictures. Okay, you got that. That looks real
You
good.
do that damn thing,
Yes.
Sean. But
Um,
I'm
I do
with
it all the
sure.
time.
Sure said a cognac or a brandy for baked goods with icings. Yes, and I
and
made this icing that was wonderful, y'all. I found this icing recipe, and it was cream cheese, powdered sugar, butter, and a splash of vanilla. And it was so good, and it wasn't too sweet. And I made it for Demonte because Demonte doesn't like sweet stuff. And I made it for him for his birthday. I made some cupcakes. And when I tell you those cupcakes were wonderful, and that icing was so good that I will never, ever buy store-bought icing again. I will make
oh,
my own.
and forgive me, y'all. It's not even okay. I don't know what's going on tonight because it's not even cooperating to let me put the comments up on the screen. So It's not that I'm ignoring
Look
y'all,
down
but
at the bottom. At the bottom, you don't see it.
I can't even see it on my side.
Oh
I don't know what's
snap!
happening. But I put it up on YouTube on my phone, so I'll read them out. But yeah.
Wait, you
You say
braise
you
your
braise your
steaks in
steaks
a
in red
red
wine.
wine? Oh, I bet that's
I've heard that
wonderful.
before. Now I love to do my steaks with the garlic and butter and rosemary fast. Now to me, once I started making my steaks like that, I ain't never going back.
Right, because they're so
Never going.
tender.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
and they're
And
so
the
good.
flavor. Yes.
The
I
flavor
am
is
enjoying
so
it.
amazing. It's a
But
melt in the mouth flavor. Yes.
yes, I love my steaks like that, or either I forget what the word is, because I just haven't had it in a restaurant in a while, but I love that on my steaks, or either the sauteed crab meat on my steaks. Um, oh
Guess
yeah.
what I made the other day?
What?
I made ahi tuna at home.
Yes. Come
I
on
made
through.
ahi tuna at home, and I was kind of scared to do it
Why?
because once if you ruin something like that, you'll never want it again.
I can
And
see
what
that.
I did is I marinated it with it was soy sauce, sesame oil, roasted sesame seeds, and there was something else in there. There's one other thing in there, but anyway, and I marinated it overnight, and then you only do a quick sear on ahi
Hmm.
tuna because it's like 2 minutes on each side because the inside is still basically rare. When I tell you that tuna was so good,
Yeah, I
it
don't
was
eat nothing
so
rare.
good.
I cook mine all the way, but I get what you're saying.
No, because if you cook ahi tuna too much, it'll be like that tuna in the can, and that's why they always have tuna in a can, like it's cooked all the way. Have you noticed there's no pink in there? It's cooked
Hmm.
all the way, but it's always in oil or water because it gets extremely dry when you cook it like that.
But it's a different fish though.
No, it's not. Tuna's tuna.
No, it's not. It's different
Well,
types of tuna.
I mean, no, they have yellowfin in the can too. That's also yellowfish is like an ahi. Yellowfin is like an ahi. That's why it's so expensive. And that's the thing.
Oh
It's
no, I
about how you
understand.
cook it. Right.
I eat
And the
sushi
ahi
quite
steaks,
regularly.
right, but the ahi steaks are like a inch and a half, maybe an inch
I
and
know.
a quarter. Right. But you know what? I was surprised my dad liked it. My dad liked it. He doesn't like rare like type fish. But
Hmm.
I didn't like rare fish until I tried that cooked like that at a place that I had went to, and then they stopped serving it on the menu
Oh
because
wow.
because it's an expensive fish to have around, and if you don't have a lot of people ordering it, it goes bad.
I like to keep some ahi in the freezer. It's another one I started cooking in the past
My
couple of
my
years. What is it? Barmunda, I
Oh,
think it is.
that's that fake barracuda, ain't it?
Uh,
Because you can't get barracuda anymore, but I've been seeing Bermuda, and I was like, is that fake barracuda?
no.
I'm finna
Oh
ask
my god.
what you call it, what that fish is.
Well, while you do that, um, I would like. Oh my god. Okay, you threw me completely off with
Yeah,
that one. I'm like, what
it's an
is
Asian sea bass. It's called a sustainable fish, free of mercury and easy to cook. Yeah, that's a fake barracuda.
Yep.
Oh, it's ugly.
God.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know who's out here eating barracuda like that, but okay.
Barracuda is a delicacy.
Okay.
Don't want it.
All
Um.
I know is I don't want to be in the water with a barracuda because they will fuck you up.
I know, but it's a good fish to eat.
Okay, so that made me think. Have y'all seen the movie? And the only I'm a full disclaimer, the only reason I end up even watching this movie is because Jason Statham is in it and I like him as an actor. But it's called The Meg. Have y'all seen that the movies
What?
The Meg?
Yeah, I mean, I saw it, but yeah, I mean, I never saw part two, but I did see the first one.
Okay, so I watched them. I did watch them, but I really like Jason Statham as an actor. So I'm like, if he's in it, it can't be horrible. So I ended up binge watching, I think the two of them or three of them, whatever it was, when I was in bed sick one day. And I don't know why this popped up in my mind when y'all kept saying Barracuda, but anywho, my mind starts racing because I'm like, what if this is real? Like, what if there's really this barrier in the ocean? Hey, Dana.
Hey,
Finally
Dana.
popped up. Hey, Dana. What if there's this real barrier in the ocean that keeps all the scary stuff away from us? And because folks keep fucking with Mother Nature and Earth out there, one day that barrier is gonna open up, and all them old eons year old fish that's been hibernating, you know what? Like my mind just wanders. Like, what if? What if?
Now,
Or they're mad because we keep eating all their cousins, and they're like, "We coming. Wait on it. We coming." Like
right. So
I
they
don't know.
said barracuda tastes like tuna. I do remember eating barracuda overseas, and they said it's like a cross between a tuna and red snapper.
I have never had it.
It's very,
Um,
it's like a sweet like flavor.
Sure said,
But
I have seen the Meg in real life, a story about a female called Big Blue. What was she? A whale, a shark? What was she? But yeah, I don't like I said when you kept saying Barracuda, it made me think like that movie was crazy because it really had me sitting there thinking like, what if they just plotting on us and they gonna come through that barrier one day and be like, you
hey,
raggedy
Well,
bastard,
don't
been eating our
don't
Victoria,
cousins and our aunties all this time. We finna
don't
eat your
don't
asses now. Like, you know what I'm saying? I
don't
don't know.
don't nothing hibernate for 200,000 years, or however long ago it was when the
I
dinosaurs
don't
got
know.
wiped out. But
well, it
I don't
could
know.
not be hibernating. It could be frozen in the tundra and then it get
See?
thawed out. I'm just saying.
You
I
know,
mean,
I'm
unless it was
listen, we on a
flash
floating rock in the
frozen,
middle of a space system. So at this
Right.
point, there's nothing off the table. Like, let's be real about that. At this point, there's nothing off the table. If we really sit here and agree to the fact that we are on a rock floating in space and that the sun has not burned all of our asses to a crisp and that the moon some kind of way raises its little self into the sky every night, like there's nothing off limits at this point, Sean. Come on now.
I mean, the moon doesn't really raise itself just like the sun doesn't rise. It's the
Because we're
rotation of the
spinning. I
Earth
get it.
that
I was
makes
being
it
facetious.
appear that way.
I was being I was being facetious, but you get the
I'm just
point.
saying.
We are.
Okay? Sure said it's a 40 to 50 foot megalodon shark. Oh, see,
Mm-hmm.
that's all I'm
But
saying. Anything is
but
possible at this
a
point.
megalodon was
What
a
is a
dinosaur shark.
megalodon, sure?
Isn't that like
We
the
look
biggest
just like
type of
chat
shark?
GPT.
That was a dinosaur shark, like way back during the fossil era.
And what all I'm saying is we don't know. So the bottom line is, if we look at the basis of what we believe to be true about the earth, we are constantly spinning. And so as we spin and rotate in the middle of a solar system, in the middle of space, in the middle of this universe, because who knows how many of them exist out there. And this
But
is leading to our conversation tonight.
Right.
And that is why we see the moon rise and the sun set and then the sun rise and all of these things every single day. And depending on where you're looking, you're going to see it move through the sky as the day progresses.
Right.
If we can agree to this,
Right.
and the ocean water seem to some kind of way miraculously maintain their boundaries and not just drown the entire earth at any given moment, at some point I think we have to again agree there's nothing off the table at this point when it comes to what can be possible. I don't
There
know if there's
isn't.
not another. I don't know if there's not another dinosaur shark down there waiting, sleeping, napping, hibernating, and just waiting
I
for the
believe in
opportune moment
Nephilim.
to get up.
Do
You
you
know
believe
what I'm
in
saying?
Nephilim? Do you
And
believe in
who?
Nephilim?
no.
Nephilim.
What is it? Nephilim?
Nephilim were fallen angels that made it. They made it with
No,
humans, and they
the
created
Neph
like a hybrid.
the
Okay.
Nephilim is a hybrid.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
That's
so
what I
yes, I
said.
do.
Fallen
I do
angels that
believe that
made it
angels.
with humans and became Nephilim.
Yes, I
See,
believe in
the
that.
the
I believe that
offspring with
giants
Nephilim.
existed on this earth.
But
I believe all of that stuff could be possible. Because again, my point is, So switching to tonight's topic. Oh, you said they have pictures of her every blue moon. She comes around from the deep depths of the ocean. I keep my ear to the ocean world. See, all I'm saying is, I don't know, but
I believe in
Tanya,
mermaids too.
I'm gonna call
and
bullshit
you
on that
both.
because if that was true, somebody would have went and killed them.
They can't catch it.
That's how they roll. So I'm just saying.
Well, so
So,
tying us into tonight's topic of um religion and spirituality. And the reason I did not
Mhm.
say religion versus spirituality, because I know a lot of people try to pit
Mhm.
them against each other and feel like they can't exist in the same conversation. And I think it depends on the person. So I said religion and spirituality to kind of just give us an overall topic for tonight, bouncing off where we ended last week.
Yes.
You know, I think if people believe in a God, whether you
Hmm.
believe in one God, whether you believe in thousands of gods and goddesses or deities or divine entities that exist
Hmm.
outside of this realm of what we call earth, this world that we occupy, right? If you can believe in that, or that we evolved out of some amoeba that came out of the water, or that we evolved from monkeys, or that we started off as
I ain't
cavemen
no
and
fucking
women.
monkey.
I ain't say you was. Listen, can I finish my damn point? Or that we evolved
Mhm.
from cavemen and women and didn't walk upright, like whatever you believe as an individual, right? Then at some point, to believe any of that is to say that pretty much anything can be possible. Because how did we get here? Nobody actually really knows. We say what we think, we say what we feel led to say based on our belief systems, but nobody really knows. We don't know that dinosaurs really existed. We believe what they say when they say they found fossils. We don't know that Egypt really existed. We believe what they say when they say they found the grave sites, so they found the markings and the caves and the tunnels, right? Or based on our belief system or our culture or our upbringing or where we're located in the world. So that's how I want to open up this conversation. I think that our capacity to believe something or be open to something is inherently based on what we've been taught, how we've been raised, and how we choose to see the world.
I
So
beg
because
to
I was
differ.
raised Christian, but I am choosing to be open-minded and see the world as vastly different than what I was raised in,
Mhm.
I have the concept that shit, anything is possible at this point. If I was willing to believe in my Christian days that Jesus was born of a virgin who had never been penetrated or had sex, and then he got up on the cross and died, then why should I not, even though I don't necessarily believe that anymore, why should I not be willing to believe that it's some freaky shit out there that is way beyond anything that we thought could have happened? Hey, Alicia, how you doing? What y'all
I
think?
don't know. I think we evolve based on our environment and our experiences because I wasn't necessarily raised Christian because and y'all follow me when I say this. Just because we went to church every Sunday doesn't mean I was raised Christian. We went to
Absolutely.
church because that's what people did on Sunday. This is before the malls was open on Sunday. This is before stores was open on Sunday. On Sunday, people went to church. And before that, I lived overseas. So we gathered around the TV and listened to Oral Roberts on Sunday. And then we went outside because I was overseas. We had a couple of Armed Forces Network channels. And then we wasn't big TV people until I came back to the States, right? And even still, I was a kid of the 80s. I was outside. Not Cardi B outside, but I was outside. Yeah. But I'm just saying. Yeah, I was outside. You know what I'm saying? So it was just a little bit different for me. And I want to say that my religious eye or my spiritual eye, not religious, my spiritual eye, because religion is these man-made things that tell you what you got to do to get to heaven. But my spiritual eye, my connection to a higher power other than myself and other than that I can see, was open probably when I was 31, 32. And I still had some questions. I still had some issues. And I'm gonna be honest. I actually had a beef with him when I turned 41. We was beefing because you took my mama, bro. Really? And I did everything that you said in this book, and you still took my mama. And so, yeah, I had a beef with him. So I think that spirituality and religion goes through cycles within all of us. But this is my personal belief, not anybody else's belief, not, we're not trying to push anything off on anybody, but I believe that we are spiritual beings allowed to have a human experience because there is something that we're supposed to learn down here to take back to the spiritual realm.
So I agree with you. I mean, and that's the reason I said I think it's based on how we're raised, whatever we're exposed to, our culture, our location, but it's also based on how we choose to see the world. There's plenty of people that were raised without any religion or spirituality growing up, and then they're exposed to something or have an experience around other people that makes them say, I want to try that. I want to experience that or engage in that. There are people that are born, into religious families or spiritual families, and then they become agnostic or atheist. You get what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
I don't think you have to stay one way or the other. I think that it's just based on the capacity or the ability that we have to be open-minded. I was raised Baptist. In my 20s, I became apostolic. It wasn't something I just woke up and decided I should become apostolic today. But it was really my curiosity. When I was in college, my best friend at the time had this passion that she was always talking about. And I was so intrigued about this woman because I had not grown up seeing a lot of women in leadership. I saw women all over the church. They dominate the church, but they weren't in the pulpit running things. You know what I'm saying? They weren't the head.
Mhm.
They weren't the leader. So I was
Right.
intrigued and I was like, I want to go meet this woman. And Dr. Willie Mae Pitts, I keep saying I'm going to look to see if she's still even around. I don't even know if she's still alive at this point because I haven't seen her in 20 years, 19 years.
Right.
Um, but at the time, she was the pastor of this church. And I was like, I need to meet this woman. And she was a 6-foot Black and Indian woman with gorgeous silver hair down her back, formidable,
Wow.
strong. And I was like in love with her. I had a girl crush on her because I was like, you are who I see myself becoming. Not about the pastoralship, but her fierceness of just like, hey, I'm me. Matter of fact, so we were in Lowe's this weekend, and I walked into this guy, and I was like, "Hey, sir, can you help us?" And he was like, "Okay." And I said, "How you doing today?" And he looked at me like deadpan, straight face, and was like, "I exist." I was
Wow.
like, "Okay, so how you doing today?" And he looked at me again and was like, "I exist, and I make it other people's problems." And I was like, I fucking
Mm.
felt that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm bringing that up because
Mhm.
that's what drew me to her. Like she unapologetically took up space. And so I was like, I'm supposed to be here for this moment in time. Whatever that may look like next, I don't know, but this is where I need to be now. And so I learned what I could learn from her. And when it was time for me to go, and I said, hey, I'm being moved in a different direction, we had an honest conversation and she understood it and respected it. She always used to
Mhm.
say, and I love this about her, she always used to say, I don't have a church because I expect people to come and stay with me forever. This is a stop. This is a space for you to come learn and ask questions and grow and mature, and then you go out there in the world to do whatever it is that you're supposed to be doing, right?
Right.
And so, a lot of what I am today in part is because of her, my grandmother, and other certain people, along the path that encouraged me to just Like, don't be afraid to ask questions. Because I was that bad kid that was in Sunday school asking all the questions and in church saying that don't sound right. And why I gotta believe this and why can't I do this? Like, you know what I'm saying? And that's why I was like, we should stop shying away from having this conversation because people gonna either be open to it or they're not. But that doesn't mean that we cannot speak what the homie Amazon, I've heard of them. You know, that
But you
doesn't mean
know,
we can't speak what
but
we
you
think.
you know what it is.
Mm.
We're conditioned to be so politically correct to not offend people
Man,
that
fuck
people
that.
are afraid. No, but people are afraid to ask questions, Sean. People are afraid to
Yeah.
say that they disagree with somebody's belief system or whatever.
Man, fuck that.
Because if you say that you're against what the Jews say, then you're an anti-Semite. If you say that you're against, you know what I'm saying? If you say that you're against the Muslims, then you actually hate Islam, and that's far from the truth too. If you say that you don't believe in what the Jehovah Witnesses say, but see, that's the thing is, how about this? All religion is derived from man, and
Mm-hmm.
each is derived from their interpretation of the big picture,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so that's not to say that you can't believe a little bit of all of it. I do believe that there
But
might be
see,
only
this is
144, but we
this
don't
is
know what
this is this is nah
144,000.
nah nah
Hold on,
nah
hold
nah
on.
nah
Listen,
nah.
listen to what I'm saying, Sean. We don't know what 144,000 looks like in the spiritual realm. You see what I'm saying?
So
There,
all
hold on.
religion is
We hold on.
all religion is based off of African gods.
All religion is based off of man's interpretation of it because
Listen
okay,
to what I'm saying.
right.
Because in each and every religion, because African gods were first, and hell, you can even break it down to the comic book characters. They're still based off those African gods. But all religions take something from what our people, our stories, and they put it into their own shit.
Mhm.
Because every single god, no matter what you look at now, is called mythology because they want you to believe that the Bible is the one true thing.
Yeah,
So
because
everything
why
else
would
is just
everybody compare
mythology.
themselves to the Bible if it wasn't the real one?
But everything else is mythology, which those stories were told long before the Bible was ever written. But now all of a sudden, the Bible is the one true story. But those stories, but in each and every one of those stories, the one consistent is the main God came to earth and had kids. The Bible just said, okay, we just gonna have him have one kid, and we not gonna have him have sex with it. He's just gonna bless her with a child. That's his. Fuck out of here.
So I think going back to a point that Gypsy made a few minutes ago about, you know, the uh, um, something we could consider as the difference between spirituality and religion. I tend to think of religion as more rigidity, more protocol, more rule, more restriction, and spirituality is more openness of relationship. And I also have to agree with you that a lot of people, I think, stick to a path out of fear because I know when I was going through my transition out of church, right? I was groomed to become a pastor. Again, I went to theological seminary. I had the whole bookcase of all the, you know, concords and dictionary and Bible, you know, Bible translations and Jesus Christ, I still probably got half unpacked up in my storage building outside.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Just because I haven't gone through them in so many years. And I remember that moment of just feeling like this doesn't feel right. You know, this doesn't feel like who I'm supposed to be becoming. This doesn't feel like the path that I'm supposed to be on. I don't like being made to feel that I can't answer questions. Why should I believe in anything that I can't question or ask about or talk to or dissect or come to an agreement with, right? And you know, when I started making my transition out, I was blackballed. Like I'm talking about
Mm.
ministers that you know how Atlanta can be. you know, ministers that had been calling me, hey, can you come preach? Or hey, can you come lead this? Or hey, can you come do this? I'm having this event. All of a sudden, my name was mud. You know what I'm saying? Them same people were dragging me, talking about me, trying to put me in affairs with people I had never even met. Like they would lie and say all manner of things just to disparage my name. Because if you're
Right.
not going to align with them, then you must be against them, right? You become the enemy and they're going to take you down to preserve themselves. And I'm not saying that everybody's like that. I know plenty of people that have left ministry and they haven't had that. But I know more people that have left ministry and they have, sadly, because it becomes an attack. If you don't believe in my God, if you don't believe what I believe, then you're wrong. You're going to hell. You're blasphemous. You're evil. You're
and
whatever. And even my own family, you know, tried to force me into continuing to say I'm Christian. And I would say, but I'm not. Yes, you are, but I'm not.
Mm.
Well, that's what we taught you. That's how you grow. And let me be clear, it was never my grandmother. My grandmother always said, ask your questions, figure out what makes sense for you, you know. But there were definitely people along the way in my family that felt like, how dare you make us look bad? You out here talking about you not Christian. You know, we raised you right. That's what people love to say. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I can understand. I really do understand the draw of staying in the familiar one, because it's scary to step outside of the role where you're told you don't have full control, you don't have full power. There's something in someone else always responsible for you. It's really scary to leave that and step into a role where you're now saying, I operate in autonomy and sovereignty. And I recognize that I am responsible for my own fucked upness and I have the power to change it. And there's something outside that I can believe in, but I'm still responsible for a lot of this, right? That's very scary. Because you mean I can't blame them? I can't blame him. I can't blame that. I can't say it was the
but that's
devil all
that's
the time.
that's my whole point is that, hey, I truly believe that as a person you do have to have something to believe in. If that is religion, that is totally fine. That is your decision. But don't sit there and tell me that you're a religious person, but then you
Right.
do all of this fucking bullshit. Because if you're a religious person, then hey, if you don't believe, that's fine. Just hang out with me. Maybe my words will get through to you. Maybe they won't. Maybe go over there and check them out. Maybe what they say will resonate with you. But I'm not going to sit here and downtrodden you, berate you, belittle you, make you feel like you're less than what you're worth just because you
Right.
don't believe that what I believe.
Right.
I'm not going to do that. But because I see that in so many different religions, I'm like, I can be a good person by myself. I don't need to follow your bullshit, especially when I see what you're doing.
Well, and that's like I share that another pivotal moment for me happened when I was in college, that I was in a world religions class. And I took it on purpose. Like it wasn't, I didn't have to. I chose that class. And one of the assignments we had was to visit a service that was not our own and to write a paper on it. And so, you
Hmm.
know, the Hindu temple over in Riverdale off of Highway 85, Gypsy. We visited that temple, myself and a friend who was in the class with me. One of the most amazing experiences I've ever had to this day. We just happened to visit when they were having services and live rituals. And so the head priest came and talked with us. They told him what we were there to do and that we wanted to ask questions, and he agreed to sit with us. And so they took us to their like small auditorium space, and him and a couple other people, and they sat with us for like over an hour, and he answered all of our questions. And he broke it down and basically explained, and I'm paraphrasing, but he explained at the time that the gods and goddesses of Hindu culture are actually the same God of Christianity. The
Hmm.
the difference is that in Christianity, they see God as one being, right? And they tend to reference God as masculine. Whereas Hinduism sees God, I'm sorry, and Christianity gives God different names. Whereas Hinduism sees God as so multifaceted as to have different personalities. And so each personality needs to be represented with its own name and honored in its own way. So the same way that Christianity will say Jehovah Rapha, Jehovah Nisi, Elohim, El Adonai, Hinduism may say Ganesha or Kali, you know. And I guess those two came out immediately because those are two of the peeps that I love to work with, you know, in my
Right.
spiritual team. And
Usually,
so, you know, that
it's a whole bunch
I
of.
think I was 21, 22 at the time. And that just no, yeah, I was 20 or 21. That sat so heavy within me that I was just like, oh my God. And I kept digging and digging. And so they allowed us to walk through and attend some of the live ritual and see the offerings and everything they were doing and explain what they were doing, explain the prayers and the mantras. And then after I left, I kept digging and researching, and it just has stayed with me all these years. And periodically, I'll go back and visit that temple. But that was the beginning of me starting to open up and realize, you know, all these questions I've had for all these years, they have a basis. And I'm not the only one, right? And I think a lot of times people need to recognize that you're not the only one. It's just sadly that many people are afraid. They don't want to be ostracized. They don't want to be kicked out of their families because it's real for people. And families will do that. They don't want to be kicked
Right.
out of church because they don't agree to this or that. And that happens every day too. They don't want to be blackballed in their communities. And that happens every day too. They don't want to wake up alone with nobody to talk to because I went through it. I went through that. And thankfully, I had, you know, other people in my life that were like, we still love you. We on the same journey. And you know, Spirit orchestrated my path to meet more. But there are so many people that are literally alone. And so I really can see that fear creeping up and be like, I'm going to just ride the ride. Listen, I'm going to stay buckled in. I'm going to ask my questions in secret. I'm going to watch them YouTube videos, but I ain't going to say nothing to nobody
Right.
because not everybody's built like you, Sean. Not everybody's built like Gypsy. Not everybody's built
But
like me. So it's easy
my,
for us to sit here and be like, man, fuck all that. We ain't going to do that. But not everybody is
but
built
not.
the
I mean,
same way.
but see,
I
you gotta
wasn't always like
understand.
that.
You gotta understand how I got to where I got to, because the Bible. Well, besides the whole First Testament part where God just be smiting everybody, besides that, it preaches love. Love thy neighbor as you would love yourself. Do unto others as you had them do unto you. But yet and still, you want to ostracize somebody because they don't believe what you believe. It don't say do that.
But God is multifaceted, and
Hold on, I wasn't finished my
a
point.
lot. Oh, I'm sorry.
But then on top of that, how are you gonna have wars in the name of God? Like, make that make sense.
I mean, to a lot of people, they use the fact that God was killing folks left and right in the Bible according to the scripture.
But he's supposed to be omnipotent, all powerful. He's supposed to have the right to do that.
Yeah.
He's
But
the
that's what I
original.
was
I
about
brought
to
you into this world. I will take you out, nigga.
But that's what I was going to say, Sean, is that God is multifaceted. It's just this westernized religion that has tried to make him this, oh, God of love and light, and he won't do that to you. God will smite you. He'll take you up out of here that quick. You know, Ananias and his wife got taken out of here real quick when they lied. God, listen, God is, he can be vengeful and angry at times too. But that's the thing is that's why I really stopped really following religion, because religion is teaching you what they want you to know to get your money out of you. I'm just
Well,
gonna be honest, to
and that's
get
who a
your
lot of
money
churches
out of
are
you.
being though.
And the thing is that you can't give nobody, I mean, you can't get anybody to give you their money if you're telling them the all around truth that God is angry with us, that God is a vengeful God when things are when you're going against his rules and teachings. So those kind of things. If you say those kind of things to people, people are gonna shy away, and they, one, ain't coming back to your church, two, ain't finna give you no money. And so
But that's
what do
exactly
they
what people
teach?
do to get
They
money out of
teach
people though.
God is a blessing God, and God is
Yes.
love, and God loves everyone, and this and that. God hates sin though. They don't
How
want to
you know
tell
that?
you that part. They don't want to tell you that he hates sin. They don't
How
want
you
to
know God
tell
hates
you,
sin?
huh?
How you know God hates sin?
It's in his word. And the thing
How you
is,
know that's his word?
hold on. But the thing is that one thing that he says, and this I believe is true. My sheep know my voice and they follow me. I don't follow everybody who says that they preach his word. First of all, I can read myself. And I have my own relationship with him. And so I don't need no damn go between. Don't tell me what he told you. Because listen, if he wanted me to know, he'll tell me himself. Me and him, cool. Mano y mano.
So back to my question, I'm asking for a reason. How do you know that God hates sin? How do you know that that's his word?
Because during our one-on-one conversations, again, I know his voice. He speaks to me. And during some of our one-on-one conversations, he's told me. And what he's told me, he's pointed out my sins that I've committed. I know what I've done. He knows what I've done. Do I have to run around and announce it to everybody? No. But do I tell some people when he tells me to tell them? I sure do. I sure do.
I asked, no judgment from me. I don't care. What you believe in is your right? But the reason I asked is because that same confidence that you had, that you say in your one-on-one conversation that you know that God said this to you, other people have something different. And so I'm just using that to make the point of, I can't say that you're wrong just because I believe something different. What I say, I tell people all the time, I'm not going to debate you about religion, spirituality, or anything else about God. I will have open discussion because I can hold space for you to believe something different than I believe and still honor you and respect you, right? But my point is, the reason a lot of times people are afraid, and that's why I was saying not everybody can be a Sean or a Gypsy or a Jay, is because not everybody can do that. Just like I respectfully asked, why do you believe that? And I accepted your answer, right? There are other people that are going to be like, and they're going to spout whatever it is that they believe for whatever reason. Or if you say that you don't believe that that's God's word, or you don't believe in that God or whatever, again, they're going to call you evil, or, demonic.
Jay, I think you and I were living in Atlanta at the same time when there was a I don't want to say he was a religious fanatic or whatever, but there was a guy it was a father, and his daughter was messing with somebody of a different religion and race, and the father killed the daughter. It was I think he was Islam. I think he was a Muslim. I think he was a Muslim, but I know he was from the Middle East. But their rules and stuff are a little bit different than ours. I mean, if you steal something, they'll cut your hand off. You ain't got 2 times to steal. But so I'm just saying, I ain't trying to be funny, but I'm just saying. But that's the thing, is they rules are a little bit stricter than a lot of the Western rules of sin. And I'm here what Cher's saying is, like, I find it funny how all doctrine define what the sins are and who has to live by them. But the thing is that they all agree on the core sins. There's sins of like murder. Murder is a sin. Dishonoring your parents is a sin. This is the thing. There are some core things that they all agree on, right? Now, when they get down to that other stuff, they kind of like a little murky about loving your neighbor as you love yourself and that kind of stuff. That they get a little murky on that. But there are some core things, like everybody agree you shouldn't murder. Well, hell, we know the first murder was in the Bible was Cain and Abel. And so there's that.
So I'll use that. So I remember I was 11, 12. Sean, you said Joseph Smith and his golden plates. I'll have to look it up. I remember I was like 11.
The Mormon religion. That's the dude that made Mormon.
Yeah, but I don't remember what all the hell he wrote on the golden plates. That's why I'm honest enough to say
he said he found some golden plates that only he could read.
What?
and base the whole religion off of it.
What?
Like I said, I'll go back and read it. I haven't studied any of that stuff in like 15 years. And I don't want to be blasé and say that it's not important, but
Oh, I see that. I see
but
that,
for me, I hold
Sean.
so much in my mind all the time that I'm constantly like a computer, like, okay, delete or archive. You know what I'm saying? If I need to refresh myself, I'll go pick up a book or get on Google. Um, because I'm not fanatical about it anymore, right? Like there was a time in my life, and then I'll get back to the other story I was going to say. There was a time in my life where I could literally quote almost any scripture in the Bible from memory because I studied it all the time. Like that's what I was being trained to do, right?
Mhm.
And I could have a conversation about anything and break it down. You know, I was the adult Sunday school teacher at one point. Like, you know, again, I was groomed to be this. And but there was still this divide within me that even though I was teaching these things and even though I was reading this and you know all these things, there was this divide in me that was constantly telling me that I don't think this is what life is supposed to look like. I don't think that this is what my relationship with God is supposed to be about. Okay, I can quote all these things, but how is that the basis of my actual relationship with this entity that I'm supposed to believe in, right? So going back to when I was like, well, what grade, how old are we when we were in seventh grade? Like 11, 12, something like that?
Well,
Yeah, you should be 12, 13 around that time.
Okay, so
that's
somewhere
because
there.
your ass was left behind. We was
No,
11 and 12. No, I'm kidding.
I have a late birthday, motherfucker. Try to be funny and shit.
I see the shade is just playing left and motherfucking right. Like, okay, shots fired. Yeah. Now, she hit me too, because God damn, my birthday in December, so I was always late. Bitch, like, you know
My birthday in May, so I always made it.
And the funny thing is, I
me
still
too.
graduated
JoJo
high
got it.
school at a young
Uh,
age.
but so when I was like seventh grade, I remember I had this best friend named Angel in my class, a guy. I think he was Hispanic or Mexican. And oh my God, like the sweetest person ever. Just amazing human being, right? I love me some
Mhm.
Angel. That was my boo. And so we were always together. It was me, him, this other girl named Jasmine, and like a handful of us. Like if you saw one of us, you likely saw the other. And I remember at that age even feeling conflicted because you're in church and they're talking about blasphemy and sin and unforgiveness and going to hell and homosexuality and these, you know, some sins God will forgive and some sins are just unforgivable. And I remember sitting there like, I don't think that's right. And I couldn't put it into words. I didn't have the language for it. I just felt within myself that I don't align with these teachings because here's this person that I know is starting to share that he's feeling these things and he's trying to figure it out. And he's like the most amazing human being I've ever met. Just the kindest, gentlest heart. And how can you say that he's evil and he gonna
Yeah.
bust hell wide open? Like I couldn't make that make sense to myself, even at that age. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm sitting in the church looking at all you motherfuckers that's grown and supposed to have it together, quoting the scripture. And I know you was over there flirting with her, and I think y'all really sleeping together because y'all look a little too chummy. And your daughter just got pregnant at 16. Like even my young mind was already recognizing the irony and the idiosyncrasies of all of these things. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, again, I left church when I was like 15, 16, maybe 14, somewhere, and I just refused to go. And then I started going back when I was like 18 because I was longing for something. I was trying to find connection, right? And that eventually led me to, you know, Dr. Uh, Pitts that I mentioned earlier in my journey. But my point is that I really know that so many people struggle with that. They struggle with
Mhm.
how do I equate this teaching that you're telling me I have to abide by
Right.
with the real life that I'm experiencing and the people that I'm seeing. And even this going back to what you were saying earlier, Gypsy, when you were saying that they share all the good things to get people's money, but a lot of people are preaching condemnation to get
Right.
people afraid and keep them in line, right? If you don't show up to church every day, if you not here every time the door is open, if you not serving in ministry and giving all your gifts and being selfless and doing all of that, God is going to get you. This is why your needs not being met, because you're not godly, because you're not righteous, because you're not holy. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
so my heart breaks for people, because even now, in my 40s, there are still moments when I truly miss the community that I had when I was Christian. I miss
But was it
that.
really a community, or was
Yeah,
it?
and
The
I'm not
reason,
saying everybody was real.
no,
That's not what I'm saying.
the reason I'm
But what I
saying,
am saying is I
okay,
had people.
let me tell you why I'm asking. Was it really
Yeah,
a community?
yeah.
Because if it's only a community based on you staying in line, is it really a community?
Well, so that's why I'm clarifying. I'm not saying everybody was real. I'm not saying everybody needed to be in my life, because some of them bitches just, I wouldn't spit on to put them out if they was on fire at this point. Now that I have better understanding and clarity, I'll be honest about that, right? But what I am saying, and I guess I'll choose a different word. Let me say fellowship, right? Maybe not necessarily community, but fellowship. Like, there are still moments where I find myself grieving that fellowship that I had, because as a spiritualist, as a spiritual person, I do have several
Right,
friends that I can talk to about different things, right? But
right,
I'm still grieving my best friend that died last year, because she was the one person on this earth that I could say probably knew more about me than anybody else. Like, she knew things nobody else knew, because she was actually Hindu, but she was so open-minded and so loving. And girl, we would talk about all the things. We talked about business together, because she was a business owner. We talked about relationships, money, health stuff, women's, like all the things, right? I was completely naked and vulnerable with her, and vice versa. And so even at 45, I find myself grieving that fellowship, because it looks different now in the spiritual journey. Whereas you had 50 people you could go to church with and laugh with, go out to dinner, go to a movie, go to Sunday dinner, hang out, do different things. Now it's like you got two. And that looks different for different people based on where you're
right,
located, and proximity. Because I have amazing friends distance, but I'm talking about in person. So I
right.
think that's another reason why people struggle with, do I walk away from this? Do I continue to toe the line? Do I ask questions? Do I step out of line? Do I believe the pastor? Do I question the pastor? Okay, I know he just preached that whole scripture backwards and ass wrong and misquoted the wrong thing at the same time. But I'm gonna go and stay up in here, because my grandma and my aunties all went to this church for the last 50 generations. You know,
Mhm.
like, people want the fellowship. And now I'll bring the word community back in. They want that feeling of being surrounded by people that love them, even when that love is conditional. Some love is better than no love. Sometimes that's how we end up feeling. We as humans are made to want connection. But you wanted to share something.
And that being said, we say we want to share connection. The thing is, this is my transparent moment. Is now God's still my dude. Me and him still, I still rock with him. However, we've had an estranged relationship since October the 28th, 2011. And
And
the
your mom
reason
passed.
we've had an estranged relationship is because, you know, at that time I was a disciple. I had been through discipleship training for 5 years. I was an ordained teacher. I was teaching, I was preaching, I was singing in the choir, and then my mother fell real ill. My mother had gotten cancer. And so, did what we taught to do: fast, pray, ask God, those kind of things. And he still took her. So then we had an estranged relationship where I was like, I didn't want the fellowship. I didn't want to do all the things that I was doing as a disciple, right? And so, um, when you say that there's different types of religion and spirituality, there's also different events that can change or sway your religion and or spirituality. And so don't think that you're alone in your change of feelings, your change of, for lack of better word, loyalty, because it doesn't mean that you're not you're not spiritual and that you don't have a belief system or whatever. It just means that you're a spiritual being allowed to have a human experience, and part of that human is experience is getting angry, getting estranged from people. um that's why people go through divorces. They become different people within that marriage, and they um realize that it no longer works with the other person that's in that marriage. The same thing happens in religion and or spirituality. Is sometimes when you become a different person, you decide that the person that you are now no longer connects with the person that you knew or have known as your spiritual God, your spiritual guide. And but you do recognize that you're connected to a higher power, something that's higher than you, something that you cannot see, but your relationship with that said person is different from what you were introduced to when you were younger, whether it be because you were introduced to them by your parents, introduced to them by um, just attending somebody's spiritual festival or meeting or whatever, or just having your own spiritual awakening in your own space and time. But I do realize that my relationship with him is different. I don't talk to him as much as I used to. I um I've just recently been able to vocalize, "Hey, I'm angry with you." It's 14 years later. "Hey, I'm angry with you and this is why." But what I will say is that everybody deserves the room, the right, and the space to explore their relationship with their deity, whatever they want to call their deity. They deserve the right, the space, and the room to explore it. And even if it's different from what your deity is, you should still respect it.
I think this is just my best guess, y'all. I don't want to say that this is fact or, but my best guess is that I think a lot of this still stems from, for us here in the US, still stems from the history, right? When we look at slavery, we look at people that were truly oppressed, not just with physical labor, but in every facet and every area of their life. And that included what they were able to believe spiritually or religiously, right? We look at Christianity was used to justify slavery and to justify treating people as less than, right?
Right.
Because if God has slaves in the Bible, of course we're able to have slaves now. We have to look at, specifically for us as Black people, African American, however you may identify, person of color, etc., or melanated, we have to look at that we are not that far removed from those experiences. many of us still have a relative whose parent was a slave. You know, our relative is still alive whose parent was a slave, or became a freed person, you know, in their lifetime. And so a lot of that secrecy, whether it was about Christianity, whether it was about hoodoo or
That's it.
any other spiritual or ritualistic or religious practice, a
That's it.
lot of it was not passed down openly, right? A lot of it was whispered in secret or written in secret and passed down to, you know, different individuals. And so I can look back now as I have studied hoodoo and other practices, I can see, and I don't want to say what my grandmother was, other than I knew her to be, and she identified as a Christian woman, right? But I can see a lot of the things that she did in hoodoo, whether she knew it or not, right? And she learned it from someone else who learned it from someone else. A
Mhm.
lot of the biblical practices align with hoodoo, and hoodoo aligns with a lot of biblical practices and scriptures, right? Uh,
Right.
yes. A lot of things that people call evil. You over there playing with them crystals. Well, have you read this Bible that you say you believe in? Because hate to
Right.
tell you, kitty, it's in there, along with incense and oils and astrology and a whole bunch of other shit. And people love to argue, well, astrology ain't the same thing as it was back then. Bitch, they was using the sun, moon, and stars to find Jesus. What else
Did
would you
she,
call it?
did she not recognize how the wise men got to him? I'm
So, and I'm
my
being
bad.
like I'm being overly sarcastic, but you get what I'm saying. And so, a lot of the times, I feel like people have missed the fact that we can look all around us and see so many other influences, but Christianity, because it is the religion that is most acceptable in the United States and really, you know, in a lot of places across the world, uh, you know, again, people stick with it because it makes sense and it provides some measure of safety, right? So that being said, I see you in the comments. So that being said, again, I keep going back to pain is the reason a lot of people stay in whatever it is that they were brought up in, not just Christianity, whatever religion they identify with, whatever practice or protocol they identify with, a lot of people stay because of pain. They're afraid of what it looks like on the other side. I can truly understand what you were saying, Gypsy. Girl, let me tell y'all something. And I've said this so many times. I've been talking about this on Facebook since 2009. Um, and I remember 2009 because the guy that I was getting ready to get engaged to at the time, he was playing some game, and I wanted to play the game, so I had to join Facebook in order to play the game because it was one of them little things where you had to add all these friends so you get the points and the guns and all the
Right.
things. And so I ended up with the 5,000 friends because everybody was sending invites and doing all things, whatever this game was. And 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 I remember just, you know, starting to share about my journey and meeting different people, and it was interesting. I remember this girl group I was in, baby honey. When I tell you, we would have the best times. There was four of us. We had a private chat. We were on there every day talking to each other. All of us was located somewhere different, but we all became online best friends over about a year. And one day I called God, I think universe or creator. Oh,
Mhm.
and they kicked me out the group. I was no longer aligned with them because I saw God as bigger
What?
than that one word, and it was blasphemous to them, right? And so, you know, I began to talk more openly because I realized there are other people out here going through this. And I've shared, you know, like I said, through the years, I've shared so many things. But I've had that moment where my roommate thought I was having a nervous breakdown. Hell, I felt like I was having a nervous breakdown. But I was in my room screaming at God about something. And I remember I just started tearing my room up. Like I just started picking shit up and throwing it. I picked the Bible up and threw it. I was screaming at God, cussing God out because I said, this cannot be the fucking life that I came here to live. Like, you know, I had been in a major car accident. My whole life had changed, ongoing medical issues. Like my life had crashed overnight. You know, gave my
Mm.
business to the wrong person. They ran it into the ground. I was, I went through that from 25 to like 32, right? And I remember being in my room, and my roommate came and knocked on the door, like, you good? I had locked the door so he couldn't get in. And he was like, what's going
Wow.
on? I said, leave me the fuck alone. And I was just in there carrying on because I had to get it out, right? I didn't have anybody in that moment that I felt like I could explain the rage that I felt to make it make sense why I was so rage filled about God in that moment, right? Well, it worked itself out because he was Muslim, right? And I knew that
Mm-hmm.
we had a lot of different conversations. So it was in our friend group at that moment. It was myself, another Christian girl, him, and another Muslim guy, and we'd all met in massage therapy school. And so, I once I finally got tired of myself and I had just exhausted all my energy and was laid out in the middle of the floor, I decided to open the door. And he came in and he sat down and he talked with me and we had an honest conversation and he gave me a safe place to get the rage out. That I think honestly was pivotal for me in the next phase of my journey. Those three people were vital in me finally recognizing that there was freedom in the exploration, right? There was freedom in me saying, God, I'm pissed at you today. Like, I don't really like you today. Because I
Mm.
had grown up here and you can't say that to God. You can't talk to God like that. You can't be disrespectful. Listen, let me tell y'all now. So now I say my spirit team, God, goddess, whatever you want to believe, my angelic team. I don't care. And I've laughed about this for years and shared about this as well. My team's a whole bunch of damn gangsters because they will cuss you the fuck out in a minute. And I'd
That
be like, y'all
part.
ain't gotta talk to me like that. And they'd be like, you better get your shit right. We be going at it. But it's love, right? Because I'm always talking to them. I'm
Mhm.
not just praying and asking for something. It's a relationship, it's love.
That's the thing is don't be listen.
So
God is
I
the
was gonna
same
kick it to
way.
Sean.
God is the same way as if you would call me
So
Sean
I
J.
just can't say shit,
Don't
huh? I can't get a word in edgewise,
no,
huh?
I'm just hold
I
on.
got my hand raised and hey, I try to be
I'm
respectful. I
just
let y'all get all
hold on.
that shit out,
I'm just
but I
I'm
can't
just
say
saying,
shit.
Sean, God
All
is the
right,
same as if you would
y'all
call
got it.
me you or Sean, because if you call me,
Y'all got
I
it.
mean
Go ahead.
me,
Go
Sean,
ahead.
or Jay, because if you
Go
call us
ahead.
and you'll never call us about nothing else, but you only call us when you in need, then hey, well, you know.
Get
Go
shots. I was
Sean.
trying to kick it over to Sharon. I mean shit, Sean and Gypsy ran
Go
with it.
ahead,
And you just like,
Sean.
dog, I'm still
Go
getting
ahead,
shot.
Sean.
Cause y'all was going back and forth.
I
And
wasn't
back
even
and
talking. Y'all
forth.
was going
And
back.
back
You
and
know
forth.
what?
Uh-huh.
Not
Mhm.
Go
today.
ahead, Sean.
Not
Mhm.
We love
today.
you.
Uh-huh. Y'all better put some
I
respect on
love
my
Sean right
goddamn name.
now. Is you gonna speak your point or
Go
not?
But
say
Because
your point.
so the thing is, and this is the thing because most people are happier when they find their own lane, whether it's religion or whatever it is. And the reason being is because they have found what resonates with them. But mm, a hundred percent of the time, you're indoctrinated into whatever it is that you're brought up into. And so yeah, a lot of people wholeheartedly believe that shit, and they follow it, and they until the wheels fall off. Some people do say, you know what, it's not for me. Let me look into something else. And some people walk away altogether. And it's just finding what works for you. But at the end of the day, like I said at the beginning, I believe everybody has to have something to believe in, whether it's a higher being, a God, a
Hmm.
certain just a certain way of life, just a set of rules that you live by. You have to have something to believe in.
Hmm.
If not, you're just going to end up giving up on life, and who knows what can happen from there.
I with you. And you were saying before that love is patient, love is kind.
Hmm.
It always
I mean,
protects, always
so
trusts, always hopes, always preserves.
now the
Love never
reason, the
fails. First
reason,
Corinthians.
the reason why I put that in there was because of what just you was talking about basically falling out of love with somebody. But this is something because that's a couple of chapters out of First Corinthians that people will put together, and so yeah, a pastor, preacher, clergyman will try to use that to say, oh no, you don't need to walk away from your marriage. You need to think about these things.
Hmm.
and try to convince you to stay in a marriage that you probably shouldn't have been in from the beginning.
Facts.
And it just took you time to realize that, hey, I married the wrong motherfucker.
They will use scripture to convince you to stay with somebody beating your ass every day.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mhm.
Yep. Sure said most people do not know that the Salem witch hunt massacres included Black African women who were healers and herbalists that defied the white Puritan men ideology. These women were powerful. They used the Bible to burn them at the stake. Absolutely. And you said
So
people today do not have the capacity to listen to someone else and respect their thoughts and belief and move on. It's like you have to be this and nothing else. Yeah. Well, that's why I just used Gypsy earlier. And I was like, why do you believe this? How do you know that? I got enough respect for people that I can hold space. I sat down with a guy who read every religious text he could get his hands on. I think I shared this story a while back. He was the military sniper I mentioned, and I said I had no idea what the fuck I was doing, but he had extreme PTSD, and we were friends, and met in school, and he didn't have anybody else to talk to. I would sit on his apartment floor with him and just listen. And he said, "You're the first person that hadn't judged me." I think he had read some satanic Bible or something, and he was telling me about it, and I was like, "Okay, you gonna kill me?" And he was like, "No." I was like, "Okay, why
I
would I
mean,
judge you?"
if he
Huh?
was, he's a spacer. You never see it coming.
Right? That's like shit. I mean, what am I do to stop you from taking me out if that's your objective? Like, sir. But he was like, "You're the only person that hasn't judged me when I share this stuff. I don't believe in it. I just want to learn. I want to understand how different people think. I want to see God in all the concepts and all the vantage points to figure out what I believe." And I could really rock with that, right? So I would just listen and let them talk it through, because who am I to tell you? Like, my mandate is, as long as you respect me, we
Right.
good. And as long as you don't try to harm me, we good. If you can rock with those things, I can sit down and have a conversation with you. I don't have to agree with you. I don't have to believe what you believe. And you don't have to agree with me or believe what I believe, but we can respectfully discuss and communicate or converse. I know people be up in the air about that word, but I like it.
No, 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 no. It's not
Mhm.
communicate. It's conversate.
Well, I said converse. People be up in arms
No,
about that one too. Yeah,
converse.
conversate too.
Converse is a word.
Yeah.
Conversate is not a word.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because they be like, "Are you talking about the shoe or talking about talking to somebody?" You know what the hell I'm
Oh,
talking about.
well,
Context
they on
clues.
some other, yeah,
Context
they on
clues.
some other shit if they don't understand. Like,
Right.
what is your smoke
Context clues,
today?
people. But yeah, like
But
conversate. I like that word too. I don't care what y'all say.
yeah, no, I
But
use it myself.
yeah, I think it's just there's beauty in having a discourse with different people that have different vantage points, right? I think so. You can walk away,
But
like they say, you can learn something from a fool if you listen long enough. I mean,
I don't know about that. But okay. Yeah, you can
well,
learn
a
how
clock
not
is
to be
right at least
stupid.
twice a day.
But to touch on what Sherry said about the witch hunt, they were done to steal property. Most of the women that were being accused of being witches were widowed women that had land, and these
Mhm.
men wanted to take the land. So the fastest and quickest way to take it without going through a whole bunch of legal road was to say she was a witch and kill her, then they could take the land.
Yeah. So,
So that
that goes back to the
had
point
nothing
that
to do
we've
with
made, that
religion.
religion has been used to persecute people just like anything else in the world. Anything can be perverted if a person wants to, you know.
Right.
So they can pervert religion and spirituality just like they do anything else. Because on the flip side, not all people that identify as spiritual are good. It's some whole ass piranhas out here
Witness.
calling themselves spiritual and
Mhm.
righteous and holy and godly or whatever, you know,
Mhm.
out here abusing people, preying on people, taking people money, scamming people. Like I think we have to be willing to hone our own inner wisdom and our own intuition. No, here are my tenets: know thyself, heal thyself, forgive thyself, understand thyself, honor thyself, love thyself, respect thyself. When you put self first, you can't help but to start seeing other people differently, because you're gonna see how they treat you versus how you treat yourself. And I don't care
Yeah.
what a person's belief system is. If you ain't treat me right, I don't want to be bothered. You know what I'm saying? And if you're using your belief system to justify treating me wrong, and I know you're insane. And so
Right.
we have to get on board with self first. And this is why it's so easy for us to be taken advantage of in church, religion, spirituality, or whatever. Because guess how many of us grew up being told, shut the hell up and go sit down somewhere. I don't care how you feel. Your feelings don't matter. Do it because I
Mhm.
said it. Not don't worry about what I'm doing. You better get your ass up and go to church with me. I'm leaving in 5 minutes, and you better be in this car ready to go. You know what I'm saying? And so we
Right.
grew up being told that we had no autonomy. How we felt didn't matter. What we needed didn't matter. We had to toe the line and fall in line. So it becomes easy to take advantage of people when they have already been told that they are here to mimic everyone else or be a carbon copy of someone. And then you get somebody charismatic, baby, you might as well go and shut the whole thing down, because they're gonna take the cake every time. That's my
Yeah,
thing.
I was always contrary ever since I was a little tight, a little thing, little thing.
Ever since you was a little tight.
Basically, I was always contrary. No, I mean, hey, it's just it was just naturally in me. I didn't do it on purpose.
Do you think that's the part of the discussion for nature and nurture, or nature versus nurture?
Hmm.
Because I
I
think
don't
that
know.
plays a role in religion and spirituality too.
I don't know. I mean, it could be, but like I said, it was just in me. Like it wasn't like I constantly was like, oh, I'm just gonna defy it. Nah, it'd be like, do this. And it'd be like, I think we're just gonna go do that because that's what I want to do. Like,
That's
you
funny
know,
you say nature versus nurture because I think we naturally are born to want a higher connection, a connection to a higher power, right? But our environment, the nurturing, can ruin that because when we are around people who actually um, deplete our spiritual energy because of the way they treat us, talk to us, whatever, and especially if they do it under the guise of being one of his servants. And be like, if you represent him, they gon' don't want to be part of that, right?
Because I think you're
Yes.
gonna bust your wide open while you talking about everybody else. So I don't want to be around
Right,
you.
right.
But also, we don't want to be
So
judged.
it depends to me. It depends on how early your experience with a negative entity that can turn you against your natural. I mean, because the thing is that, well, my personal belief system says that we are all born with a spirit guide because we are spiritual beings allowed to have a human experience. So your natural inclination is to want to be still connected to your spiritual power and your spiritual side, right? So if that's your natural inclination and then you're exposed to someone on the nurturing side that is supposed to help shape and mold you, and that person breaks you and breaks your spirit and stuff, that can actually turn you off from your natural inclination.
Wholeheartedly agree.
yeah, I agree with
Wholeheartedly
that. I
agree.
feel that, but I do think that we're all interconnected, intertwined. I mean, because how many times have you just been minding your business and you felt something, had no idea what it was, and then you found out later that, oh, this happened, oh, that happened. You was like, oh shit, that's, you know what I'm saying? So I think
But
it's a little bit
that's
of
why I say you got
everything
to know
mixed in
yourself.
there.
Okay? That's why I say you got to know yourself, right? Like when the day my best friend died, one of my best friends died last year. I didn't know what was wrong. I just knew something was happening. Like that whole day, I just felt bad. And I remember being around a couple of different people, and they were like, "You don't look good. You okay?" And I was like, I don't know. I don't feel good today." And by the time I had made it home to lay down on the sofa, I had laid down, and like 30 minutes later, I got the call from her partner that she had passed. Like right after she had passed, and I felt it. Like I felt it happen because this was somebody I talk. Y'all know I don't be on the phone like that. I'm like, okay, well,
Nope.
I'll talk to y'all later. You can send me a text.
Right.
But she was that person. Like our souls were so kindred that we talked every day for hours. You know what I'm saying? And so I felt it. I remember being like 5 or 6, and I knew that I was being watched all the time. That's what it felt like. That's the language that I knew how to give it at that moment. Like I just felt like I was being watched all the time, and I could see them. As I grew, I became more knowledgeable, and I started to understand, oh, those are my angels. Those are, those are spirit beings protecting me and looking out for me. But they were talking to me all the time, watching me all the time. I could see them. I was having whole conversations with them. But I also had that inkling that I don't think I should tell anybody else about them. Like there was something in me that knew, you know what I'm saying? And
Nah,
you know,
I laugh because when kids be drawing them pictures, they be drawing that dark person like, oh, this is my friend. Like, yo, y'all need to pay attention to that. Like, oh,
yes. When they be telling you they be hearing noises, when those babies say they see things, we need to live. But
They
so
see
many of them be like,
things.
oh, that's just
Yep.
their imaginary friend. They just making shit up. Or they just got
Mm-mm.
scared because they saw a scary movie. No, that baby sees something. That's just like when my dogs start barking randomly, and I know I'll go look outside to see,
oh
okay,
yeah,
is there
and
somebody?
you
But if
don't
ain't
see
nobody
nothing.
passing, I'm
Yeah,
like, okay, what do you see? So
Mm-mm.
they
I'll
know
start tuning in then
something
because
is
I'm
there.
like,
Yeah,
yeah, that's my first alarm system. So now let me tune in because they alert me something's. But even
Right.
like
even still,
light some sage
um,
real quick.
listen. But what about when you the fucking problem and you take yourself out with the stage? No, I'm just playing. But so I just told this client this story to a client this morning. We were talking about like when a person passes, they were saying that's your last opportunity to make peace and different things. And I said, well, I think that really relies on your belief system, right? So, like when my grandmother passed, it was a couple of years before I was ready to work with her. Not because I didn't look like that was my heart and soul. She was my first soulmate in this life, right? I wasn't ready to feel that grief, and so I couldn't deal with it. But she started showing up around people to get my attention, like, hey, I'm here when you're ready. And people would come to me and be like, I just saw this older woman and she looked like such and such, and she was standing there watching over you. And they would be describing my grandmother. And when I would show them a
Wow.
picture, they had never met her. They'd be like, that's her. And it was crazy because they weren't describing her as she was when she passed. The picture that I was showing them was when she was like in her 40s and she passed in her 70s.
Wow.
She was in her 40s or 50s in the picture. And when I would show them that picture, that's how she was appearing to them. And same thing with my dad when he passed, like I wasn't ready. We reconciled on his deathbed, but I wasn't ready to deal with him being on my angelic team. And he did the same thing. He started showing up. So even my ex-husband and I were in the grocery store one day on the cereal aisle. And I remember us looking and deciding what cereals we were gonna get. And I was looking at Cheerios and he was like, you want some Cheerios? And I was like, you know how you be trying to see what your taste buds want. So I ended up choosing like something else. We get our 5, 6 boxes of cereal and we going about our business to the grocery store. Like this was like 3 weeks after he had passed. So like a week after that grocery store trip, a friend of mine calls me and says, hey Jay, your dad has been on me all day. I got to give you this message. And I was like, okay. And she says, he said next time get the Cheerio. And I was like, bet. And so,
Wow.
so I'm just bringing that out there for people. Like whatever your belief system may be, there's the possibility and the existence of different opportunities to relate to our loved ones, to relate to, um, spiritual beings. A lot of what I've been able to do in business, you know, I've a lot of it has been self-taught. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've learned a lot. I've grown a lot. I've had some great successes, but a lot of it I have learned through spirit. A lot of my spiritual practices I have learned through spirit. Like, okay, I need to do this. Hey, and they'll tell me what to do and I'll get it done. And then later I'll hear somebody talking about it or see an article or a social post or video or whatever, and somebody's talking about. I'm like, Oh, that's the name of what y'all told me to do. Oh, okay. Because they're just giving it to me, right? Or another practice I have as we get ready to close out, when there's something I don't know, and that's why I mentioned business. When there's something I don't know, I will ask spirit. I need to tap into that spiritual wisdom. So I need somebody on my team that had this kind of experience or had this kind of gift or skill or knowledge or access. And that's how I first started learning how to do business. Like I was tapping into that spiritual wisdom because I knew fuck all about business. Like,
Right.
what? And so I will say that my last comment before I kick it to you all is my heart aches for people that live in fear because I've been there, done that, and I know how hard it feels. I know how painful it feels, right? How scary it is. But my heart aches for people that live in fear and don't give themselves the ability to expand or ask questions and be more open in their journey of whatever their belief system is. And so I would just encourage you that whatever you identify with, however you label yourself or don't,
Mhm.
be willing to ask more questions. And if you can't ask them to the people around you, social media has at least made it where we have so much more access to people and things that we didn't before. So trust and believe there's somebody else out there with the same questions and there's somebody out there talking about it, right? So,
And
give it a shot.
don't feel like you have to exactly match somebody's label that they slap on you. And make
Mm-hmm.
sure to shake off those labels that you feel don't fit you. Don't let
Mm-hmm.
somebody label you just because they think that you're somebody, or think
Mm-hmm.
that you're this is you or whatever. Um that's what 2024, 2025 have been for me, is shedding these labels and unrealistic expectations that others have had for me, that I would try to conform to, if that makes sense. Real quick, has anybody watched Wednesday, the show
I added
Wednesday?
it to my queue when you were talking
So,
about it.
so, so I watched Wednesday, and there's a girl on there named Agnes in the second season, and Agnes is
Uh,
kind of
okay,
weird. She
this is not a Netflix show
No, no,
resemble.
no, no. It's not that. It's not that. It's because Agnes is kind
Let
of
her be
weird.
great, Sean. Let her
No,
be great.
one of the things that I remember. So Agnes has the ability to become invisible, but a lot of people who feel like they just don't fit anywhere often feel invisible. And I just remember one of the other characters telling her, if you want to stop being invisible, stop trying to become everyone's personality. And that really stuck with me because that's the same thing as trying to take on other people's religions, trying to take on somebody else's hobbies because you think that'll make them want to be around you or whatever. That's the thing, is stop trying to become what other people or what you think is acceptable to other people just to say you fit in. Sometimes you're not supposed to fit in, you're supposed to stand out.
That is true. What you got, Sean?
And see, sometimes no matter what your preference is, you just gotta take somebody and bend them over. Hold on, wait. I'm sorry, that's not our topic. No, you gotta stop being
Sometimes you feel like a
having
nut.
having
Sometimes you
Sometimes you
don't
tunnel.
don't.
because.
Sometimes you gotta stop having tunnel vision. You gotta stop just looking at what you think is what's supposed to be, and step outside of that and see everything around you, and then make your own determination on what your life is supposed to be. Even if it's wrong, you'll learn from that and you'll grow from that. But when you try to fit into somebody else's mode, it don't work out most of the time.
Right.
Very true. Very true.
And know the difference between religion and relationships, spiritual relationships. Spiritual
And I and
relationship
I and I
is
our next topic is going to be, why do women always got to have the last word?
because there's two women and one man.
Oh,
See, there you go again. See, there you go. Always got to have the last word. I can say
I'm
hopscotch,
gonna yank that. I'm
double
gonna yank
dutch,
that.
bubble gum,
That beard off your
and
face, and they gonna see that it's glued on.
and she still gonna have something else to say.
I'm gonna yank that beard off your face. They're gonna see it's glued on.
I mean, I like to see
Well,
that, but hey.
I have a feeling Sean was about to say you can yank on it, but it won't be like that. Anywho, with that being said, my lovely peoples,
No outro or nothing.
here she go with that bullshit again. Oh my God. So with that
She
being
always
said, lovely
extra.
people, always, always, always. We appreciate every single one of you. I forgot to give our little commercial break earlier, but right now we do ask that before you click out, make sure that you like the video, make sure that you subscribe to the channel so you get notified when we go live, and make sure that you continue to click that share button because I really don't feel like you like your people like you say you do if you're not telling them about these conversations. That's all I'm saying. So with that, we will see y'all next Monday at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Standard. And in the meantime and in between time, if you have questions, if you're brave enough to get on camera with us, because we haven't had that in a while, if you got some topics you want us to cover, just click the link in the description somewhere on the side or beneath this video and shoot us a message. If you want to email us, all of that is down there as well. And lastly, we love y'all. What did Tevin Campbell say? Audi 5000 and